The rain in New York was biting, like delicate needles of ice, not only pricking the skin but piercing straight into my heart. I stood before the floor-to-ceiling window of my Manhattan apartment. The whiskey glass in my hand had long grown cold. The phone screen suddenly lit up in the hazy mist, displaying a message from an old school friend back home, someone I had nearly cut contact with long ago. Just one short line: "Bada, your fiancé's wedding is approaching." The name Lou Ryan was like a long-forgotten chess piece, abruptly pushed back to the center of the board. My fiancée. Well, no, she was only a symbol that the G family and the Lou family had casually drawn on a relationship map arranged by our elders. Affection in families like ours was a luxury too great and too fragile. I curled the corner of my mouth, intending to smile, but in the end, I only tasted bitterness. It's fine, I suppose. This time, upon returning, I will completely sever that relationship. Cleanly, decisively. G. Bada, the established heir of a conglomerate with assets worth tens of billions, couldn't I find a woman who was both beautiful and more suitable? I threw my head back and finished the cold whiskey. The spicy heat shot straight to my head, yet in my stomach, it congealed into a heavy block of ice. The plane pierced through the clouds and landed in the familiar city. Stepping off the plane, the humid, hot air rushed in, carrying the distinctive scent of southern vegetation, a complete contrast to the cold concrete jungle of New York. I took a deep breath, as if trying to reclaim a sense of belonging that had long been lost. Old Shen, my longtime driver, was waiting at the VIP entrance. As he took my luggage, his eyes avoided mine. He didn't dare to look straight at me. I sat in the back of the Rolls-Royce, loosened my tie, and asked about the situation casually. Is there something going on at home? Nothing at all, young Master G. Lao Chen started the engine, his voice slightly strained. It's just that you must be tired from the journey. The awkwardness in his words was like a small thorn gently pricking my heart. The car headed toward the group's headquarters, a skyscraper whose glass facade reflected the sunlight like a giant, icy fortress. But when I stepped into my familiar office on the highest floor, my vice general manager's office, a strange chill immediately enveloped me. The layout hadn't changed, the expensive rosewood desk, the large floor-to-ceiling windows, my favorite abstract painting still hanging on the wall. But the atmosphere was different, lacking something, perhaps the sense of invisible authority when everything is under control, or perhaps something new had appeared, a strange aura as if someone had intruded and was watching. Following habit, I pulled open the right drawer. That used to be where I kept core documents, HR files, and approval papers. Now, there was only a thin layer of dust. What kind of welcome awaited my return? I frowned, quickly using my fingerprint to unlock the computer. The wallpaper had been replaced. It was no longer the vibrant New York night view but a boring promotional image of the group's building. My heart felt like it had been forcefully struck. I opened the internal management system, my eyes glued to the screen. Vice General Manager G. Bada is in charge of the following departments: Sales Department, effective; Overseas Division, effective; Logistics Department Management transferred to Yi Tingcheng; Human Resources Department Management transferred to Yi Tingcheng. A feeling of ridiculous disbelief surged from my feet and shot straight to my head. G. Bada, the recognized heir of the conglomerate, had been relegated to managing logistics, overseeing cardboard boxes and office supplies. A monumental joke. The drama that the G family had staged for over 20 years had its most important page brutally torn out by someone during the 2 years I was gone. Thump. A low knock sounded on the door, carrying a rhythm that could not be refused. Come in. My voice still sounded calm, but only I knew that a cold fire was violently burning in my chest. The door opened, and a man walked in, tall, with a handsome face, dressed in a perfectly tailored dark gray suit, a polite smile on his lips so flawless it couldn't be criticized, even carrying a hint of familiarity. Welcome back to the country. Yi Tingcheng's voice was gentle and pleasing to the ear. He extended his hand, his posture natural as if welcoming an old friend. I am the newly appointed Vice General Manager, Yi Tingcheng. We will be colleagues from now on. I hope you can give me much guidance. I did not immediately shake his hand. My gaze was sharp as a surgeon's knife, sweeping across his face, his meticulously styled hair, the carefully tailored cuffs of his shirt, and finally settling on his seemingly sincere eyes. A vague, almost provocative flicker of hesitation briefly crossed those eyes, so fast that one might think it was an illusion. I finally raised my hand and lightly shook his. His palm was dry, firm, carrying an undeniable sense of possessiveness. I wouldn't presume to offer guidance, I'm just a little surprised. I only left for 2 years, and the personnel within the group have completely changed like this. His smile remained unchanged, even becoming slightly gentler. He walked straight to the chair opposite my desk and sat down naturally, as if this were his own office. Director G has great foresight, all adjustments are for the more efficient development of the group. It is also good for young Master G, having just returned, to familiarize himself with the new business modules. He paused for a moment, his tone carrying a subtle, appropriate hint of regret. Oh, right, I haven't had a chance to congratulate you and properly introduce myself. I heard you achieved outstanding results in the North American market this time. Truly, a worthy son of a worthy father. But immediately after, his voice shifted, his gaze sweeping toward me with an interrogative intent. Please be understanding about Ryan's matter. Matters of the heart cannot be forced. When fate arrives, you can't stop it. Lou Ryan. I leaned back against the wide chair, my finger unconsciously tapping lightly on the smooth rosewood desktop, emitting a low, heavy sound. Her getting married is a good thing. I'm happy for her. My voice was flat. You seem to be quite fast with news. It appears the groom is you. I looked up, my eyes sharp as a saw blade directed straight at him. Yi-Teng-Cheng's smile froze for 0.1 seconds, then immediately transformed into an even deeper smile, carrying the composed demeanor of a victor. It is me. Ryan and I are soulmates. Frankly, I must thank young Master G for being on the other side of the ocean, creating an opportunity for us to meet and understand each other. Destiny is truly magical. He stood up and adjusted the cuff of his wrinkle-free suit jacket. Young Master G, please get to your work, I won't disturb you anymore. He walked to the door, as if suddenly remembering something, turned back, and added. Oh, right, all the core documents of the finance department and the HR department have been moved to my office. Young Master, if there is anything you need to look into, you can come and find me anytime. The door closed softly, leaving only me in the office. Sunlight shone through the large glass window, casting a long, winding shadow onto the floor. The faint scent of Yi-Teng-Cheng's cedarwood cologne still lingered in the air. The smell of his men's perfume kept swirling, refusing to dissipate. My fingers paused and then slowly tightened. The palm of my hand turned white and blue from the exertion. The rage and the humiliation of being disregarded continuously hammered inside my chest. What he stole was not just Lou Ryan, the woman I had never taken seriously. He stole my foundation. G Bada in the G group is power. I picked up the phone on the desk, my fingertips slightly trembling from tension. I dialed a sequence of numbers known only to me. Chief Information Officer Li Feng. A man who had followed my father for many years, but whom I had secretly brought to my side early on. My voice was lowered. Li Feng, it's me. Help me check 3 things. Li Feng's voice was also low and cautious. Just say the word, young master. First, all information about Yi-Teng-Cheng from birth until now, dig deep to the roots. Especially the background of his mother, Yan Fang, peel back every layer. Second, Lou Ryan's whereabouts on the night of May 15th last year in the Coastal Road area. Focus on whether she reported it to the police or went to the hospital. My eyes once again looked towards the empty drawer. That place once held the symbols of my power. Third, and most importantly, find out who transferred my financial and HR management authority to Yi-Teng-Cheng, and when. I want the complete system operation log, step by step, accurate to the very second. I need irrefutable proof. The other end of the line was silent for a moment, then Li Feng's heavy voice came through, understood, young master. Give me a few days. I became a silent shadow, quietly patrolling my own exiled territory. During the sales department's market analysis meeting, I attentively listened to the dry reports on distribution channel penetration strategies and competitors' movements. In the logistics department's warehouse, where office supplies were piled high like mountains, I watched every item being slowly distributed, like a devoted warehouse manager. In the overseas division, resident managers abroad reported one after another in various accents. I patiently listened to everything, occasionally posing one or two symbolic questions that had no impact. I presented myself as a diligent but harmless new manager, calmly accepting my father Ji Gangyi's earnest advice in high-level meetings that I needed to start from the basics and familiarize myself with new operations. In those meetings, Yi Chengcheng sat to the right of my father, the position near the center of power that was previously mine. He reported on the optimization efficiency of finance and the results of building the HR succession team, steady, confident, and articulate. His gaze occasionally swept over me, who was sitting at the edge of the meeting table, carrying a complex emotion that was difficult to articulate, a very deeply hidden scrutiny, wariness, and a vague hint of pity, as if looking at a tiger whose teeth had been pulled. I just listened silently, occasionally giving a slight nod, my expression unruffled, as if the powers that had been stolen and the positions that had been occupied truly had nothing to do with me. However, beneath that calm surface were raging undercurrents. Li Feng's updates were like torpedoes from the ocean floor, sent one by one through the encrypted channel in the darkness. Every time the light from the phone screen flashed, it was like a bolt of lightning tearing through the night, illuminating the map of the conspiracy that was becoming clearer in my heart. Young master, I've checked. Around 9 p.m. on May 15 last year, Miss Lu Ruiyan's sports car broke down near Guanhai Cliff, along Binhai Road. She got out of the car to check and was mugged by two men on a motorcycle who snatched her handbag. While struggling, she nearly fell over the cliff railing. Just then, Yi Chengcheng drove past and heroically chased the robbers away. Finally, Miss Lu was frightened and sprained her ankle, and Yi Chengcheng took her to City Hospital No. 2. The incident even made the local social news page, with the headline, "Hero Rescues Beauty Late at Night on Binhai Road, Wealthy Young Lady Narrowly Escapes Danger." Li Feng's voice carried a hint of mockery. The time, place, characters, and event connect perfectly without a flaw. Young master, as for the system authority transfer, the evidence is undeniable. General Manager Ji Gangyi himself, 1 week before your return, personally used the highest authority in the internal system to transfer all your financial and HR management powers to Yi Chengcheng's name. The operation log is complete, with undeniable high-level electronic signatures. Finally, I discovered a very important matter about Yi Chengcheng's mother, Yan Fang. She passed away early, and she was once the pillar of a song and dance troupe. Later, due to an injury, she retired and then opened a small clothing store to make a living. Her life was generally ordinary. But the crucial point is that I found a few photos of her when she was young. Her facial features and contours are highly similar to photos of Ji Gangyi in his youth. Li Feng's voice became heavier, almost incredulous. That's not all. I used a special channel to investigate the transactions of several secret bank accounts under Ji Gangyi's name. In the last 5 years, a large sum of money has been regularly transferred every month to an account named Yan Fang, with the memo, living expenses. The transfer dates are very cyclical, falling around Yi Chengcheng's birthday. The last set of documents reached me on a night of pouring rain, with no electronic copies, only a file of yellowish parchment paper, sealed with red wax. Li Feng personally delivered it, his expression in the dim light so heavy it seemed to drip water. Young master, this is all I could find about Yi Chengcheng's birth certificate and household registration. The original records were tampered with, the methods were extremely professional and seasoned. But I followed an old lead, a person who was involved in handling household registration back then, and found his retired apprentice, at a very high cost. Inside is a copy of a blood relationship test result that was deliberately concealed, and the vague testimony of a woman who shared a delivery room at the county hospital that year. The direction points very clearly. I lightly waved my hand. Li Feng silently left. Outside the window, thunder roared and lightning flashed, the pale white light illuminating my bloodless face. I sat in the darkness, with only the computer screen emitting an eerie blue light like a will-o'-the-wisp. I peeled off the red wax seal on the file, my fingers trembling uncontrollably. Each old, yellowed piece of paper was drawn out of the envelope. The blurred copy of the blood relationship test result had key data items smeared with black ink, but the remaining words and the name Ji Gangyi placed side by side burned my eyes like red-hot iron. The other testimony was even more direct, a vague account from a patient in the same delivery room. The woman named Yan Fang was so beautiful it was unreal. That woman once held her newborn son, sobbing uncontrollably over the phone. Gangi, you are so heartless, do you not even want your own son? You once said you would divorce and marry me. Boom! A loud clap of thunder exploded right above my head. I slowly spread the pile of documents onto the desk, aligning them one by one. It was as if I was exposing a meticulously orchestrated conspiracy that spanned over 20 years. That father, Ji Gangi, the one who always maintained his stern demeanor in board meetings, the one who was strict with me at home, the one who played the role of a filial son in front of my grandfather and a model husband in front of my mother, it turned out he had another identity, the lover of another woman and the father of another child. Because of that illegitimate son, Yi Tingcheng, he had cast a massive net, step by step eliminating me, the legitimate son of the Ji family. He directed the fake, hero saves the beauty, drama, stole my fiancée, neutralized my core powers in the group, and then gradually elevated that illegitimate son to the position that rightfully belonged to me, Ji Bada. A fierce, earth-shattering rage surged up, nearly bursting out of my throat. I grabbed the heavy brass paperweight on the desk, my arm taut, veins popping out, intending to throw it with all my might at the glass wall that reflected my own face distorted by anger. The moment my arm swung up to its highest point, I abruptly stopped. I couldn't lose control here. This room, this building, even this entire group, could be my father's eyes and ears everywhere, layer upon layer like a spider's web. A drop of cold sweat slid down my strained temple. I slowly, extremely slowly, placed the paperweight back on the desk. A low clank sounded in the silence. I closed my eyes, forcing myself to breathe deeply. The cold air filled my lungs, temporarily suppressing the all-consuming rage. When I opened my eyes again, the raging fire had been forced down to the bottom, replaced by an emotion chilling to the bone, bottomless. Counterattack, I must counterattack, but I alone am not enough. I need power, an absolute power that can crush everything. My eyes fixed on two places. The Ji family's ancestral home, where my grandfather Ji Rini lived, the person who held 50% of the group's shares and had the actual power to decide everything. And my mother, Qing Yi, the woman who had been deceived for half her life but still held 20% of the shares. The Ji family's ancestral home was located on a mountainside. As I stepped into this familiar place, the turbulent emotions in my heart were suppressed to the very bottom, leaving only exhaustion, heaviness, and a bit of tension when facing my grandfather. The butler Fu Bo came out to greet me, genuine joy showing on his wrinkled face. Young master is back. The old master has been mentioning you, he's in the back room. The room was warm like spring, with a faint aroma of orchids lingering in the air. Ji Rini sat on a rocking chair, a thin blanket draped over his legs, reading an ancient book by the natural light. Grandpa. I called softly, my voice slightly choked, and sat down on the rattan chair beside him. He put the book down, immediately noticing my unease. He took off his reading glasses and looked at me intently. Why the bad complexion? Unfavorable situation at the company? Or is it your father, Ji Gangi, again, or that Yi Tingcheng fellow? Grandfather cut straight to the core, weighing heavily on my heart. Clearly, he was not unaware of my father's actions. I took a deep breath, took out the tablet, opened the pre-marked documents, and silently handed it to him. Grandpa, please take a look at this. He took it, put his glasses back on, and leaned closer to the screen, reading line by line. In the room, only the gentle scent of orchids and his increasingly heavy gasps remained. As time passed, I clearly saw the hand holding the tablet begin to tremble violently. The veins on the back of his hand pulsed wildly with anger. His face, which was usually gentle, was gradually replaced by an overwhelming look of shock and ferocious rage that seemed to converge all at once. Finally, Ji Rini forcefully slammed the tablet onto the small tea table. Crash! A loud sound caused the orchids in the room to shake. He shot up from the chair, the abrupt movement causing him to cough violently, looking as if he might fall. I hurriedly stood up to support him. Grandpa, don't get agitated, your health is more important. But he was shaking all over, his entire body trembling with rage. Ji Gangi, he dared to do that to the Ji family, to me. He trampled on my dignity, stripped the face off the Ji family, and stomped it underfoot. Does he have no shame? His age-hoarse voice rang out, his trembling finger pointing at the tablet. Yan Fang, that vixen, and that Yi Tingqing too, he dared to openly walk into the conglomerate as vice general manager, steal your position, and even take the Lu family girl. All these things were orchestrated single-handedly by Ji Gongyi, weren't they? Seeing my grandfather's face flushed with anger, his chest heaving violently, a pang of sadness rose in my heart. But the bow was drawn, the arrow notched, there was no turning back. I helped him sit back down, handed him a glass of warm water, and spoke in a low but clear voice. Father had planned to send me abroad beforehand, then arranged for Yi Tingqing to approach Lu Ruyan, setting up the hero saves the beauty drama. After I returned, my financial and HR management powers were completely transferred to his hands. Now Yi Tingqing controls the money, the personnel, and a core technology, while I... Grandfather Ji Rinny's eyes burned with anger, both heartbreak and humiliation. I continued, Grandpa, this isn't just about me. Father is gradually promoting Yi Tingqing to his current position. What's the next step? Will this entire Ji group have to change its surname later? He dares. Ji Rinny roared, his aged eyes shooting out a shockingly cold light. That was the look of a man who had controlled a business empire for half a lifetime, now fully ignited. Even the Ji family's legacy will not fall to him to wreak havoc over an illegitimate child, and certainly not for that scoundrel to inherit. He gasped for breath, his wrinkled hand gripping my arm tightly, the strength surprisingly powerful. Bada, you tell me, what do you want to do? This old man of yours will back you even if it costs me my life. Feeling the fierce determination transferred from my grandfather's hand, the heavy rock pressing on my heart felt half relieved. I squeezed his hand tightly. Grandpa, I need the shares in your hands, and mother's support too. Ji Rinny did not hesitate. Good, everything of mine is yours. I will have the lawyer draft the documents immediately. But when he mentioned my mother, a flicker of pain crossed his eyes, yet he remained resolute. This matter can no longer be hidden from your mother. I have hidden it from her for half a lifetime. Since Ji Gongyi created the iniquity, he must bear the consequences himself. Persuading your mother, Qing Yi, will be harder than I thought and many times more painful. My mother's apartment was simple yet elegant. When she learned of my sudden visit, she was delighted, even personally going to the kitchen to make my favorite pastries. Mom. I looked at my mother's busy back in the kitchen, gentle and familiar. There were wrinkles at the corners of her eyes, and streaks of silver in her hair. The words I had prepared felt stuck in my throat, heavier than 1,000 pounds. What's wrong, Bada? Qing Yi brought the tray of pastries out, her sensitive gaze immediately noticing my heavy mood. Is there any grievance at work? Or is it because of Ruyan? I did not answer, only silently placed the heavy tablet in front of her. The smile on my mother's face immediately froze. She took it with suspicion, lowered her head to look. Time seemed to freeze. I clearly saw the fingers holding the porcelain plates suddenly clench, the knuckles instantly turning white. The pastries on the plate fell to the floor due to her violent trembling, shattering silently. Qing Yi's breathing stopped. She stared intently at the screen, her eyes not blinking once. The tablet slipped from her grasp, falling onto the thick carpet without a sound. She looked up at me, her eyes, which had always been filled with tenderness and tolerance, now held only emptiness and shattered despair, an unbelievable desperation. This is what? Her voice was light, hoarse like a faint breath. Bada, tell me what this is? My heart is cramping. I stepped up, intending to support her. It's fake, isn't it? Qing Yi cried out, her voice sharply high-pitched in panic, almost screaming. Someone must have framed him. Is it a competitor of your father's? Is it Yi Tingqing? She stared at me, her eyes full of desperate pleading. I avoided that soul-shattering gaze, bent down to pick up the tablet, and quickly opened the last photo. A blurry picture, but I could still recognize the young Ji Gongyi. He stood in front of a simple photo studio, holding a tightly swaddled newborn baby in his arms. The bottom right corner of the photo was clearly printed with the year Yi Tingqing was born. My voice was dry like sand in my throat. Mom, Yi Tingqing is father's biological son. Father and that woman named Yan Fang gave birth to him more than 20 years ago. Qing Yi's world collapsed. She stumbled backward, hitting the wooden shelf. A blue and white porcelain vase fell, shattering into pieces. "Watch out for the shards, Mom." I rushed over, ignoring the sharp shards underfoot, and hugged her tightly, holding her close. I clearly felt her body trembling violently, hot tears like fire instantly soaking my chest. Why? How could he treat me like this, treat the G family like this, treat you like this? All these years. Qing Yi's face was buried in my chest, her voice fragmented. My voice was calm and firm. The important thing now is that we must reclaim everything that belongs to us, that belongs to the G family. We cannot let that illegitimate child continue to sit in that position. Grandpa is already on our side. You and he. Qing Yi's eyes were tearful but shimmered with a weak light. I nodded emphatically. I need you, Mom. Tomorrow is the board meeting. I need the 20% of shares in your hands. Are you willing to join Grandpa and me to pull Ji Gangyi down from the seat he doesn't deserve anymore? Qing Yi stopped crying. She remained leaning against me, her body trembling, but in her eyes, after the tears had washed them, a fire that had never existed before began to burn. She looked into my face, a face that was young but had already weathered so many storms, and in her eyes, she saw the same pain and resolve as her own. Finally, she nodded softly. Yes. Her voice was hoarse but extremely clear, carrying the coldness of a decisive stone sword. I will help you. Everything Ji Gangyi owes me, owes you, owes the Ji family, must be repaid. The top floor of the Ji Group headquarters, in the colossal boardroom. The shiny rosewood round table reflected the face of every individual. The atmosphere was heavy as lead. Ji Gangyi sat in the chairman's position, his complexion calm and imposing. He was listening to Yi Tinqing report on the technical development investment plan. The speech was fluent, his demeanor confident as if he was already the core of the entire system. His eyes occasionally glanced at the empty seat opposite, the one that used to be mine, carrying a subtle hint of smugness. Just at that moment, the heavy door of the boardroom was silently pushed open. All eyes immediately turned toward the door. I walked in, wearing a dark gray bespoke suit, my posture composed, each step as steady as a nail being driven in. I did not look left or right, heading straight for my vice general manager's seat. My appearance was like a stone thrown into a tranquil lake, stirring the entire room. Yi Tinqing stopped his presentation. Ji Gangyi frowned, his sharp gaze sweeping toward me, carrying an icy warning. But immediately after, the real shock came. Qing Yi appeared at the door. She was wearing a dark blue velvet suit that she hadn't worn for decades, tailored neatly and solemnly. Her hair was neatly bunned, lightly made up but unable to hide her pallor. In the depths of her eyes, only icy remnants remained. Her appearance was like a bomb exploding in the boardroom. For the past 20 years, the madam of the Ji family had never set foot in the boardroom. Yet today, she stood there, her cold gaze sweeping over everyone, finally settling on Ji Gangyi's face. She didn't utter a word, nor did she look at anyone, only quietly walking in her high heels, going straight to the chair beside me. The seat had been reserved. And then, gasps of cold air echoed throughout the room. Ji Rini appeared at the door, being supported by Fu Bo. The mythical founder of the group, who had retired behind the scenes for many years, had personally come. Chairman. The veteran members were startled and stood up. Ji Rini leaned on his cane, each step heavy as an army on the march, his dim eyes filled with murderous intent. He looked directly at Ji Gangyi, his gaze full of disappointment, pain, and a tsunami of surging anger. No one stopped him. He walked straight to the head chair, the symbol of the supreme authority of the chairman of the board, and sat down. The entire room fell into a deathly silence. Ji Gangyi's face shifted from pale to dark, his fist clenched tightly on the table. The smile on Yi Tinqing's lips also vanished, replaced by unconcealed fear and doubt. I stood up, my calm gaze sweeping across the entire boardroom. To the honorable board members, colleagues, before continuing the meeting, Ji Bada, on behalf of my mother Qing Yi and the chairman of the board Ji Rini, officially submit a proposal. Given that during General Manager Ji Gangyi's tenure, he has committed serious violations of corporate governance principles, damaged shareholder interests, and caused instability and serious negative impact on the group's reputation and development. We propose the immediate dismissal of Ji Gangyi from his position as general manager. As soon as my words ended, the boardroom instantly erupted. Ji Bada, you are insolent. Ji Gangyi slammed his hand down on the table, his face ashen, pointing at me and hissing, by what authority? Who gave you that right? He turned to look at Qin Yi and Ji Rini, his voice trembling with fury. Qin Yi, elder brother, are you following him in this chaos too? Qin Yi lifted her head, her face expressionless, as if wearing a mask of cold ice. She slowly raised her right hand, placing it on her left ring finger, where a large diamond ring, symbolizing a turbulent, half-lifetime marriage, had rested silently for 20 years. Her slender finger pulled it off decisively, without the slightest hesitation. She did not bother to glance at it, raised her hand high, and threw it straight onto the center of the meeting table. Clang! The ring hit the rosewood surface with a piercing sound, rolled a few times, and stopped right in front of Ji Gangyi. That sound instantly silenced all the clamor. Qin Yi's voice rang out, sharp as a blade, Ji Gangyi, the curtain is now closing on your 20-year drama. Her gaze was like a poisoned dagger about to stab him directly. His role is over. Ji Gangyi looked as if he had been struck by lightning. His face was white as a sheet, his lips trembling, unable to utter a word. For the first time in his life, he saw bone-chilling hatred in his wife's eyes. Ji Rini's voice, though aged, still resonated sharply. Proceed to vote. All those in favor of dismissing Ji Gangyi from the general manager position, please raise your hand. Immediately after his words ended, Qin Yi was the first to raise her hand, her arm straight as a sword. Next was me, my arm also rose high and firm. Then came Ji Rini's hand, full of age spots but steady as a rock. 3 hands representing 70% of the shares, 3 swords drawn from their scabbards, hanging precariously over the entire boardroom. Absolute power that could not be resisted. In the deathly silence, the domino effect began to spread. A few board members whom I had secretly persuaded, or who had originally leaned towards my grandfather, also successively raised their hands. In just a few seconds, the votes in favor had passed the majority, the outcome was set. No, impossible. Yi Tengcheng completely lost control, yelling hysterically, his face pale, his eyes wild with fear. Everyone can't, father, say something. Ji Gangyi seemed to age several years in that moment. He staggered and slumped into his chair, his face gray as ash. The vote is passed, Ji Rini's voice echoed like the final verdict. Effective this moment, Ji Gangyi is officially dismissed from the position of general manager. I faced my father's desperate eyes and Yi Tengcheng's panicked gaze, then slowly stood up. Qin Yi's voice, though hoarse, clearly stated, Qin Yi, as a shareholder of the group, officially declare the unconditional transfer of the 20% of shares under my name to my son, Ji Bada. Another bomb exploded in the already agitated atmosphere. Ji Rini immediately followed with an announcement, severing all remaining hope. Ji Rini, as chairman of the board and the largest shareholder, officially declare the unconditional transfer of the 50% of shares currently under my name to my grandson Ji Bada. The order is effective immediately. Everything was settled. I, Ji Bada, holding 70% of the shares, became the new owner of the Ji Group, the chairman of the board. No, I refuse to accept this. Yi Tengcheng completely collapsed. He howled like a wild animal, frantically lunging towards me. But the security guards quickly restrained him, pinning him to the ground. He struggled, screaming in despair. Ji Bada, by what right do you do this? Just by your schemes and despicable methods? My blood is also the blood of the Ji family, you despicable petty man, he shouted. I looked at him, a hysterical Yi Tengcheng pinned down like a pathetic loser. My eyes were icy. I subtly adjusted the cuff of my suit jacket, each movement elegant and cruel, walking slowly towards him. By what right, you ask? I asked coldly in return, pulling out my phone, unlocking it, zooming in on a photo, and putting it directly in front of his face. On the screen, a clear scan of the conclusion of the paternity test was displayed, the bright red lettering standing out on the page. Based on this, the falsified test result that you and your mother, Yan Fang, used to deceive Ji Gangyi. Did you truly think that with just such a simple trick, you could seize the entire legacy of the Ji family? I curved my lips into a cruel, cold smile, looking straight at Yi Tingcheng, seeing his face instantly turn corpse-like pale. Ah, right. I lightly tapped the screen, switching to the next photos, blurred surveillance footage, call records, and even the audio recording of the conversation between Yi Tingcheng and the motorcycle robbers. Go to Guan High Cliff, just scare her, and I will arrive in time. Proof that he himself directed the hero saves the beauty scene. Lu Ruiyan was, from beginning to end, merely a pawn in his game, his mother's game, and Ji Gangyi's game. I intentionally emphasized my father's name, my icy gaze sweeping over the man who fathered me, a man blinded by power. They only saw Ruiyan as a stepping stone to gain the Lu family's support and then gradually consolidate power within the Ji group. Crash. The whole world in Yi Tingcheng's head collapsed. He crumpled, his whole body limp, and was dragged away by security. His desperate screams echoed down the corridor and gradually faded away. I couldn't be bothered to look back, shifting my gaze to Ji Gangyi, whose face was utterly bloodless. He was distraught, his lips trembling, finally letting out a mournful sigh, carrying all his regret, pain, and despair. I calmly said, "Father, you should retire now. And the 20% of shares in your hand." I briefly looked over the still silent crowd, my eyes carrying the absolute coldness of the one who controlled the situation. It is father's right to give them to whomever he wishes, but I advise him to save his energy. Don't even think about suing to help Yi Tingcheng. Falsifying paternity tests to commit fraud, staging a forced proposal to arrange a marriage. He and his mother, Yan Fang, are about to go to prison. Ji Gangyi trembled all over, cloudy tears streaming down his aged face. He had completely failed. After the storm, I used thunder to reorganize the situation. Yi Tingcheng was expelled from the Ji group. I didn't even spare him another glance. I handed over all the evidence of Yan Fang's paternity test forgery and fraud to the police. Ji Gangyi retreated to his suburban villa, no longer daring to appear in public. Amidst the aftershocks of the power transfer, a figure I had long anticipated appeared at the door of my chairman's office. Lu Ruiyan wore a simple ivory white dress, without makeup, her eyes red-rimmed, her expression bleak and melancholy. She clutched her dress hem tightly, her fingers clenched, her eyes carrying a mixture of pleading and shame. Ji Bada. Her voice was hoarse with emotion. I know I have no face to say this, but please spare Tingcheng this time. I know he was wrong. But she raised her hand, gently placing it on her flat abdomen, her voice choking, I am pregnant with his child. The child cannot be without a father. Please consider the fact that we grew up together. I sat behind the desk, the sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows behind me, outlining my sharp features. I looked at her, my gaze profound, my voice calm. Affection? Lu Ruiyan, between you and me, aside from a forced engagement, was there ever anything called affection? I leaned forward slightly, pushing a thin file across the desk. Look at this. If you still want to plead after reading it, then we can talk about affection. Lu Ruiyan hesitated, picked up the file, and opened it with trembling hands. Inside were intimate photos of Yi Tingcheng with various other women. The timeline extended from before he staged the hero saves the beauty scene until after their wedding. Explicit text messages, chat logs, hotel booking information. The final pages contained evidence of contact with the motorcycle robbers, and recordings of the calls. Crash. An explosion sounded in Lu Ruiyan's head, all illusions in her heart shattered into thin air, her face turning as pale as a sheet of paper. The file dropped from her hands, the documents scattering on the floor, her body reeling, nearly falling down. No, impossible. She mumbled like a ghost, tears streaming down her face. But this time, it was no longer pleading but ultimate shame and resentment. She already had the answer in her heart. My voice remained calmly icy. His approach, his marriage to you, was a theatrical performance from beginning to end. The goal was to exploit the Lu family and the bloodline he presumed to have from the Ji family to climb higher. You and I were merely tools. Speaking of which, my gaze swept past her hand clutching her abdomen. As for the child, I paused, the offspring of a scammer, a criminal. Whether to keep it or let it go is up to you. I stood up, walked around the desk, and approached her. There was no comfort, no pity, and certainly no pretense of superiority. I simply took a business card from my inner suit pocket and placed it on the small side table. It was the contact information for a top divorce lawyer. Find a good lawyer, my voice was distant, as if it was all ancient history, file for divorce on the grounds of deception. With the status of the Liu family's eldest daughter, you can still withdraw with dignity, instead of being dragged to the bottom by a swindler. My gaze lingered for a second on her abdomen, cold, without a hint of emotion. Take care of yourself. Liu Ruian abruptly lifted her head, tears still clinging to her cheeks, but in her eyes, weakness and pleading had been completely replaced by something else, ice, and a touch of ruthlessness. That was the look of a woman who had been deceived to the very end. When all self-respect had been trampled, the rage ignited into clarity and determination. She didn't look at me anymore, nor did she look at the scattered documents on the floor, only staring intently at the business card. Then she bent down, but not to pick up the papers, she only lowered her head, precisely reaching out to pick up the business card like retrieving a sword for revenge, and clenched it tightly in her hand. Her knuckles were white. She didn't say a word, didn't shed another tear, just straightened her back, turned, and walked out of my office step by step. Her high heels struck the carpet, making muffled but utterly resolute sounds. The door closed softly. In that large room, only I remained, and outside the glass frame was the city that finally belonged entirely to me. Sunlight enveloped my whole body, yet I felt no warmth. So, this is what the taste of revenge was like, cold, empty, and mixed with exhaustion. I picked up the file on the desk, the one representing the absolute 70% of shares in my hand. My fingertips traced the 3 bold letters printed on the cover, JIBADA. That was my name, and the only name that represented the future of the G Group.